Welcome everyone to another StarCraft 2 match, Heart of the Swarm time, with another Terran versus Zerg. And I can promise you one thing, this game is awesome. We have a great match. We have two Koreans playing against each other on the Korean ladder, and to the bottom left, as you can already see in red, we have our Terran player. It is Polt, and starting to the bottom right is his former teammate. This is EG's Revival. Zerg player starting for Evil Genius, and this is a great match. These two have so much history. They played for the same team for a long time. They played for TSL. They lived in the same house. They trained together. They practiced together. They lived together, and now they're rivals on the ladder here. Polt just recently moved to the US. He's currently living there because he wants to study in the States, and he is actually having a really good time. I talked to him a few days ago, and it seems that he has a girlfriend now. He's together with, like, I think, a Korean girl that he met at university. Revival, on the other hand, ladies, he is still single and cute as a button. This guy is successful in StarCraft, makes a lot of money, and he is definitely very, very handsome. So, yeah. I guess we should focus a little bit more on StarCraft 2 right now. Don't want to talk too much about Revival's relationship status. Let's talk a little bit about the game at hand. The Zerg here, of course, starting things off with a hatch first, as you would expect against the Terran player. Polt, on the other hand, he's one of those guys that really loves to go for refinery after barracks. He loves Reapers. He really, really likes the opening with them. Reapers are such a good tool, especially in Heart of the Swarm, when you want to have some information about what's going on in your opponent's base early on. You, of course, always want to send out an SV scout too. Can even try to bunker your opponent's natural if you want to. But with a Reaper alone, you can always just go into the main base, try to find out, what are you doing? Do you take gas? How much gas do you mine? What is your strategy? What do I have to prepare for? And what Polt will find out soon enough is that Revival takes gas before pool. So Revival actually wants to get gas. The main question, of course, now is, what for? Does he want to go into the Zergling speed to have something in the early game to deal with aggression from Polt? Or does he want to go to be aggressive on his own? Does he want to go for a roach rush? Does he want to go for a few banelings early on? That's something that Polt has to find out. And the SCV and the Reaper with which he follows it up, those will be the tools with which he will try to get a glimpse of what's going on here. He already sees the pool. The hatch, that is, goes into the main base now, while we have an Overlord scouting the main of Polt. This is Newkirk City, and the Overlord is just having a bit of a look around, sees everything that's going on here, knows, of course, also about the mining, sees the gas too, so he knows that Reapers are very likely, which is the reason why we have those 4 Zerglings. So he mines a little bit of gas so far, but only up to the point where he has the 100 gas that he needs for the metabolic boost. The Reaper is jumping into the main base and is having a close look at things. SV already gave him most of the information that he needed, but at this point the only job for Polt is to do a little bit of damage here, to try to harass his opponent, to make this SCV survive and not suffer at the hands of the Zerglings. In the main base, what Polt could have done is build a Marine to kill this one Overlord. He should have actually done it. I think he just overlooked the Overlord, didn't realize that it was still hovering there, and didn't want to lose time going now into the reactor. But because of this oversight, Revival knows everything. He knows, okay, you go into a reactor at your barracks, you go into the factory right away, you already built your command center on the low ground, so what you are doing now is executing a transition into Hellions. You want to pressure me with Reapers, Hellions, 2 Reapers, that's what Revival has to deal with at this point in time. But his speed is nearly completed, and with speed, the Zerglings are finally faster than the Reapers. But Revival is not only going for those Zerglings, he's also adding additional queens. And if you add more queens in the early game, it usually means that you want to play a very economy-based play, that you want to go into a 3rd base, and that you want to focus on your minerals and your drones. This is what the players will usually do. The reason is that queens, they don't take up lava, so you can dedicate all the lava into drones, you can just build them, you have much more workers, and then at some point you take 4 gas at the same time and just get a massive amount of it so that you can go into the lair tech. 3rd base should come out for Revival pretty soon with the strategy too. But let's see what Revival can do with a small attack. Trying to go in here, the bunker isn't ready, but doesn't matter. The Hellions are already there to save the day for Polt, at least for now. The expansion is done now for our Terran player. He is already mining with 2 mules, is now sending additional SCVs in, and yes, as expected, Revival, he takes his 3rd base. That's what you want to have. 3 bases, getting the creep spread, and what better to spread creep when you have 4 queens that can use all that energy for creep tumors and don't have to just inject all the time. The injects are being hit by the 2 queens that are now hovering at the bases, in the main and at the natural. Bit of gas is being mined for Revival, who wants to go into lair tech. But Polt applying pressure, going in now. Reaper Hellion. Standard opening for Terran these days against Zerg. It's really good, it's great, gives you a lot of vision. You can try to make sure that the Zerg doesn't spread his creep too much. You wanna maybe even kill a few harvesters, sneak into the mineral line if you can, but if you are not able to do that, at least keep him as low as possible. More and more creep tumors now being placed, the queens at the front defending a little bit. Polt back at home is going now into one Viking, and the Viking has of course one job, and that's Overlord hunting. Going for the Overlords, taking them down, limiting the information that the Zerg player has. That's what you want. You want to make sure that he has no idea what you're doing, nothing at all. And for that you build this one Viking, you take down the Overseers and the Overlords, supply block your opponent, take down a few minerals too, so that's a lot of things that you can do in the early game. 3 bases are down now for Revival. He tags into lair, as you can see. And for Polt, we have a little bit of a shift in strategy. He currently has 1 additional Viking taking down the Overlords, and this means that he could also go for drops. The Overlords are there to scout a drop place, to scout Medivacs, and the Medivac is already in the game. And look, what's that? 2 Widow Mines. Actually more than 2, we have 4 in total. He's lifting 2 into the Medivac while he's still trying to occupy a Revival with those Hellions and Marauders. Sorry, Hellions and of course Reapers. He wants to distract him. He's already sending in the Medivac. The Overlord over here did not scout that. That is actually the 3rd Overlord that this Viking was able to kill. And now the Hellions and the Reapers, they're coming back, while the Medivac is still aiming for the main base. Revival tries to go into Lings, Mutalisks and Banelings. And here comes the Medivac. Speed boosting into the main. The Queen is not enough anti to stop it. And immediately the Burrow here with 1 Widow Mine. Does it get a shot off? Yeah, definitely will do, but only killing a little bit of lava at the front. Still aggression, and another Widow Mine borrowing now right at the natural. Getting a shot off and taking down one of the drones. The Zerglings and the Queen still damaging here all of those Hellions, but the Hellions take the Queen out. Revival was really busy defending his bases. What you can do is, like, you morph Overseers. You need detection. Those Widow Mines, yes, they are invisible once burrowed. But what you can do, because the cooldown of a Widow Mine is actually, like, really long, it's 40 seconds, you can either build a Spore Crawler, which builds a lot faster, or you can get an Overseer, and then you will be able to take down the Widow Mine in between Widow Mine shots. These guys in the middle of the map could be picked up by the Medivac, but Polt overlooks this, is only able to save those 2 Reapers. He could have tried to save the Hellions too, but he was a bit too late to the party. He was busy in his main base, busy setting up this 3rd orbital command, getting additional Widow Mines into the game, and of course also equipping all these barracks that he built in the meantime with reactors so that he can get a lot of Marines. And talking about Marines, those guys are now suddenly in the main base of Revival doing damage, trying to stim in here. The combat shield is done, stim 2, bam, speed boost down to the natural, to the 3rd base, and 1 Medivac already bites the dust, but the rest of the units, they are going strong, taking down the Queen and also damaging now the economy, taking down Harvesters. Great start here for Polt, doing a lot of damage. The Queen alone is such important. It's so important that you don't lose it. It's one of the most crucial things, and he loses a 2nd one. This means that he can't hit his injects anymore. The production of Revival is in trouble, and now he's also losing Mutalisks. This job is really awesome for Polt. Revival struggling here. He didn't have the lava, he didn't have units. He has to move in again with the Mutalisks, and another one dies. This job is amazing. He might even be able to kill another one. No. Finally the Marines being cleared. Revival, though, he lost a lot here, he also lost momentum. He wanted to go into a push with Mutalings and Banelings, and now he was not only revealed, he lost a lot, he lost economy, he lost production, and Polt is already getting ready. Borrowing a few Widow Mines. In his main base we see him with additional structures. He could also place down a few of his turrets if he wants to, and he never stopped to macro it up. He's already going into +2/+2, as you can see here. He has 1/1 on his Marines, and at the same time Revival just now with the double evolution chamber started his own 1st set of upgrades. So he's definitely a tiny little bit behind, even though in overall supply he's in the lead. Here comes the attack by Revival. The Widow Mines are there, getting their shots off. The Marines are still able to take down a few Mutalisks, but these 2, yeah, they're a little bit too many. But the Widow Mines that are borrowed everywhere, they give Revival quite a hard time now. So the Zerg decides to go back into the main. The evil genius player is now in a position where he needs to take a 4th base, which he already did to the top right. Spreading the creep still across the map. He's really meticulous about it, and he has to. And we also have a few banelings set over to the top left that could be very dangerous to Polt if he doesn't see it, if the banelings are able to sneak in. Once again, the Mutalisk a bit out of position, try to do damage here. They have to be careful though, picking off a few units. The reinforcements are already there, but there are Marines, and with nice targeting, Polt can do a lot, and he already takes down one of them. The Terran player tries to get himself another base, killing the debris here to set up another expansion, whereas Revival is taking base after base now. And Revival is definitely a player you have to be careful with. He's shown in Pro League how strong he is. He is going into +2/+2 upgrades now for the melee units. We have him with the first upgrade, the armor upgrade of all things, for the Mutalisks, so he wants to fight. With Mutalisks, they are a hit and run unit. You want to go in, bam, do damage, and then you go out. That's why usually you research the attack upgrade, because you never plan on actually fighting with your opponent. If you see a Zerg player researching armor, this means that he is out for trouble. He wants to be aggressive, he wants to do damage, he wants to be the one who initiates an attack and follows it through. This one command center here needs to be very careful, but the Marines are there, saving the day for now, chasing the Mutalisks away, but you can really see how the tides turned a little bit. In the early game, Polt was the one who did pressure, who did damage, but now he is very passive, except for the drop play that he's trying to put into the game. And in the middle, wow, those Widow Mines just took down a lot of those things. You can still see the corpses, the Banelings, yeah, they blow them up, but still the rest of the Bayer units is moving in, while we have now the space to the top, to the center, being taken out by this drop play of Polt. Polt with a great start in this game so far. We talked about it earlier a little bit, but Revival, he's now the one who is on 4 bases, as is Polt, and he wants to get a bit ahead. The big problem for Revival really is that Polt is such a great player when it comes down to macro. He's already going into +3/+3 and drilling claws, but the Mutalisks, they are a pain in the ass for Polt. He's losing so many harvesters here. He lost 13 workers in total, sorry, he killed 13. The drops up to the top right, trying to add to those numbers, but he already lost a few of these SCVs in return. Now the Bioforce in the middle, trying to take out the space. The Mutalisk never stopping to attack this base at the bottom center, taking down the command center. Can Polt really take out another base of Revival? Can they exchange blows here? The Banelings are rolling in, the Mutalisk trying to help out, but we still have a few units up to the top right, doing damage to the economy of Revival. Action going on everywhere right now. Both of them really aggressive. Revival taking a bit of a supply lead. Overall worker skill 13-5 in favor of Polt. Resources lost 10,000 to 7,500. And now we have, with the infestation pit, for Revival the chance to tag into Hive. And that's what he does. Going into Hive, he wants to have +3/+3. He can't research those upgrades before Hive is done. And Polt will have those last set of upgrades a lot faster than Revival, which gives him a great gate shot to be aggressive with these Bioforces. Adding the Thor into the composition is a very smart move by Polt. He knows that there are a lot of Mutalisks, that Revival is really dedicating a lot of resources to his air units, and he wants to counter them with a Thor here. He has Widow Mines too, but the Thor is crucial. If Mutalisks clump up and the Thors get their shots off, this means that you will actually lose quite a few of them. But the Mutalisks, we have so many of them in the game, 24, they found another target. They are taking down another command center, or at least they try, but the Marines are running in. Yeah, they can't save them command center anymore. Mutalisk still attacking, going for the missile turret. One is not enough, taking down harvesters as they float around. Even sniping a few of those Widow Mines, trying to hit a Medivac, not quite able to do so, but you can really see how Polt is struggling to defend against them. He skipped a little bit on the turrets, and he's now paying dearly for it. On the other hand, we have the attack going on at the top right, where Polt was setting up his forces. So many Banelings! About 50 of them rolling in, taking down Bio and Mech units alike. But to the bottom left, the Mutalisks, they are still going strong. Polt is losing a lot here. He lost 23 harvesters, has still a few units to the center top, and he's using them to take out this base. He wants to make sure that the Revival's economy is not completely getting out of hand, because so far the evil genius Zerg player has done a fairly decent job getting additional bases. Mutalisks now still fighting with the Marines. A few of the Mutalisks were not able to retreat in time, but overall I have to say that Revival's damage that he dealt to Polt was quite significant. Yes, Revival lost more resources than Polt did, but he is in a position where he had the better economy for quite some time. Polt wants to change that. He wants to go into a 4th base. He tried to do it earlier, but he was not successful. The Mutalisk taking everything out here. Now he's going to the top left, trying to place the command center down. His problem really is that we have a borrowed Zergling here that will not allow him to do so. Both are at roughly the same supply. And now, with Hive Tech done, we have +3/+3 being researched for Revival, who's catching up in the upgrades. And he has to. It's really something that is very crucial if you want to go into this late game. Scan goes down and immediately, bam, Zergling killed. Here comes, of course, the command center. This time a planetary. Polt right now is a bit, I don't want to say scared, but he is very careful. He knows that Revival loves to go for run-bys, and he is very active with those Mutalisks. So he wants to make sure that run-bys can't kill him while the Mutalisks are in the main base. Planetary Fortress instead of command center it is, and additional missile turrets are also being produced. This time not only 2, but also double Widow Mine. Very safe for Polt, who's getting more and more command centers and planetaries in the middle of the map, going for another forward planetary. Very smart to make sure that later on, for example in Ultralisk composition, will be a little bit easier to deal with. But we have also very great upgrades for the Thors. +3 armor is now on its way. Polt once more has to deal with the Mutalisks, who aim for the sensor tower to make sure that Polt is just not always in the know what's going on. But Polt is really being aggressive here, not only over there at the 3rd, but also going into the main base with another drop, picking those medivacs up. Still active at the right though. We have him here going for the hatch, and he has such a huge army set up. Look at all those Widow Mines in the back. This is the bio-style that Zergs are afraid of these days. The Mutalisks are going up against the Marines, but Polt, oh, he can take out so many units. Revival not really paying attention. All of the Mutalisks, they are down. Revival was focusing a little bit more on this space that he could not rescue either. But now with the Greater Spire, we have a Broodlord composition for him. And this might give Polt trouble. So far, Polt doesn't have a lot of anti-air. Yes, the Thors, they are nice, they are cute, but there are only 2 of them. No, there's only 1 left. When those Brainlings took down the first one, and Polt here realizes, well, I have to do something here. I have to go straight into triple starport. I need more Vikings. Yes, those Widow Mines, they might help me a bit, but against all these Broodlords, it's just not enough, and they might be transfused by Queens too. The Marines alone are trying to move in, but are they enough? There is nothing on the ground. Those Zerglings are not morphed into Banelings just yet, and Polt isn't even focusing on this all alone. He's going into another run-by. He's trying to just take advantage of the fact that Revival's army is very slow right now. You can really see how long those Broodlords take to go to the top right. The Zerglings alone just don't cut it against all those Marines. But with the help of the Medivacs, the Corruptors, he can take out the Medivacs and he'll be fine for now. Resources lost at this point, 30,000 for Revival and 16,000 for Polt. A lot of medivacs here, 9 in total, going into the Vikings now, taking down this base that Revival was trying to rebuild, and this is gonna get ugly. Both of them at the same supply. Polt building up a bank now, Banelings moving in, taking down the Marines, and the Corruptors dealing with the air units right away. But the run-bys of Polt, they have been giving Revival some trouble so far. Those drops are really powerful, and this is what Polt is trying to use here. He's going into more Vikings. He's sticking with his Bioforces and also adding a few attack upgrades for his Vikings now that he realizes that Broodlords are definitely a big threat in this game. Here comes another run-by. He's going in. He wants to take down this base. Revival, on the other hand, he's going into Infestors. He has Pathogen Glands nearly done. Here comes the Bioforce, aiming for the hatch, but there are way too many Zerglings. He can't deal with this many. One Spine Crawler at least helps out Revival a little bit. Delays Polt pushes for now. And Polt taking, of course, another base. Once again a planetary, trying to play defensive here. Going to the bottom right, we now have 4 Revival. Even the next armor upgrade, he's going into +2 armor. He already has +2 attack for his units. He really wants to get this upgrade. And, well, here come those Medivacs once again, boosting out. Talking about upgrades, let's have a quick look. You can really see that they were really meticulous about those. +3/+3 for bio, +3 armor for mech. We have everything else that he needs here. Has even the building armor right now. Whereas for Revival, the only upgrade that we are kind of lacking for the Zerglings is, of course, Adrenal Glands. That's definitely an oversight, given that he was using Zerglings for a long time in this game now already. So that's something that he should use. Nice by Polt, stimming in once he realizes that those infestors are a little bit too far to the front, taking it down. But the situation has definitely turned. Now it's suddenly Revival who has the maxed out army and also a huge bank. He can really use that. He's building up his base once more. Currently looking at a harvester count of 64 against 45. Army supply against overall supply in favor of Polt. Something to point out here. Revival with the potential to rebuild his army though. And here comes the next battle. Those Broodlords are already moving in. They are doing damage, trying to take down the planetary fortress. The Thor is doing as much as he can, but it's just not enough. It's the first target of the rest of the units. Even Corruption could come into play here, but Revival neglects it. Is picking off that planetary, but here come those Vikings. Finally they are in the game, and we have the Corruptors taking them out one by one. Drop play to the top center. Once again, Polt is everywhere. So is Revival, but can he really defend? The hatch is being targeted in the middle of the map. Where are those Fungals? They are moving in. There's the Fungal. The Banelings trying to get close, trying to take down maybe the SCVs, and yes, bam! Planetary is gone, but so is the base to the top center. Both of them exchanging blows here, just going for it. They are like two boxers in a ring exchanging punches. And so far, Revival is punching a little bit harder. We have him with 170 supply against 150, 2,200 minerals on the bank, and another 1,000 gas that he can use. But he needs to make sure that the gas and the minerals are still coming in. He needs to find a method to deal with those drops. And Polt has so many Widow Mines on the map. 10 in total. They're burrowed everywhere. And making it really difficult for Revival to engage the Terran army. You never want to run in there. You can try to just run close to your opponent's army, and then if the target that the Widow Mine's locked on is close to the Marines, they will actually deal friendly fire. That's one of the things that you can try on. Oh, Seeker missiles moving in, and those bad boys do some damage, but Revival here reacted in time. He pulled them back, the targeted units. One Marauder trying to deal with this hatch that is being rebuilt, but in the middle of the map we have the Marines with another stim. Polt is dropping in supply. Revival now at 180, but the Seeker missiles, bam, take down at 20 supply army. This is brutal. Well done. Polt with the Seeker missiles doing a lot of damage. It was changed in Heart of the Swarm, and you can do so much with it. This one Marauder was so close. 5 hit points left on the hatch, but it survives. This one at the bottom right, it is not gonna be safe though. It's just too much DPS that Polt commands here. He is behind in supply and he's struggling a little bit, but he is still going for those counterattacks. And he has to. It's the perfect choice for him. The Medivacs into the main base. Polt is just looking at this like, well, actually a good offense is the best defense, and he's trying to pull this off. The rest of the army has to deal with the Broodlords and the Ling Baneling composition, but in the main base we have a double drop, and it is aiming straight for the tech of his opponent. Taking out the Queen. Bye-bye, Spinecrawler. Was nice meeting you. And now the next target is going to be the pool, most likely. Still no Adrenal Glands, and this is one of those upgrades that he will not get in a long time. He needs to rebuild his pool. And the two Medivacs, they will most likely die as well. Yes, there's the Fungal and the Corruptors. They say thank you. Thanks a lot, Infestors. Job well done. And take out those two guys. They won't be a problem any longer. Spawning pool immediately being rebuilt. To the top right. A little bit of an odd choice if you think about what Polt was trying to target the entire time. So the drop is already heading in, another double drop. So I'm not quite sure if the position for the spawning pool is really the smartest choice, but Revival, well, he will have to figure it out. We now have him with a +3 attack upgrade started, and you can really see that this is such an epic game. We have 45,000 resources lost against 30,000. This drop this time has been spotted a little bit earlier. Revival was expecting it, but suddenly he's the one who's down in supply. He lost 2 bases. He lost his income. He mainly, well, he lost the main part of his bank, not all of it, but still. Polt is suddenly the one who is commanding more bases, who has the better income. I can highlight that for you once again. There you can see it with 1,300, depending a little bit on the mules that he drops. And talking about what he drops another set of units to the top right and at the bottom right as well. Aiming for the hive, and as soon as the hive is done, every single tech structure that he destroys will be so much harder to replace. Another attack to the top right, trying to take down these bases. Polt, he is everywhere. everywhere. He is doing so much damage, and Revival is struggling a little bit to deal with all of this. He knows that he needs to do something, but it's just difficult to pull it off. Revival lost his infestation pit. He's losing evolution chambers, he's losing hatches, and the big problem about those hatcheries is of course not the income. The mineral patches are gone. You can see that the Vespine guys, they are empty. The issue are the lava. He doesn't have the lava anymore, and those widow mines that he burrowed all over the place, Polt that is, they still do damage. They just got shots off against the Brood Lords, and now we have another attack to the top right, whereas these units at the bottom are still doing damage to the Queens. The medivacs are of course assisting and supporting with the heal. But this is very annoying for Revival. Polt is just constantly attacking and Revival doesn't get any room to breathe. He wants to just sit down, stabilize, and then be the aggressor. But he can't, because the only thing that he's doing the entire time is reacting to Polt. Revival is a strong player though, and he might find a way here. He's going for it again. He needs to know what's happening next, and he needs to take those drops down, and that's exactly what he's trying to do. Take down the drops, step 1. Try to establish or to just stabilize again with the base that you have. Step 2, go for the lair again, which we see here being researched. So this is something that he can really pull off. The lair choice here also a little bit exposed, but at the same time it will help him quite a lot. Talking about this in a second. First of all, let's have a quick look to Polt's army. For now, he stopped the aggression. Taking a deep breath here. But we have him with a lot of ravens, 4 in total, and also a semi-strong anti-air army. So he can do quite a bit here. And he's moving out to the top right again. He wants to finally take down this base. He's really adamant about it. He wants to take this down, and who can blame him? This is one of the lifelines of his opponent. Moving in with another drop, but this drop is not going to do too much. The only one, but the problem is the drop to the bottom. This is a double drop once again, and this is a bit different. The units are running in again. Here we have them. A few extra hit points now on the lair, but is it gonna be enough? It looks like he's gonna lose another tech structure. The lair is once more gone. He cannot rebuild his stuff, and he's losing units everywhere. Revival is struggling here. He's defending so far decentish, but he's just losing too much. It's such a huge area that he has to cover, and he's always being attacked with 2 fronts. Resources lost now, 54,000 against 38,000. Polt moving in to the right side. All those mineral patches are gone, while the units at the bottom are trying to take down the drones that are harvesting gas. Revival does not have any mineral income anymore. He has a strong army with 97 army supply, but Polt is 150, and he is all over the place, dropping, using the speed boost, just running away from his opponent, going into every base that he has. Revival relies on this one last base. This is the spot where he has to defend. Polt is still in a position where he has a few scrappy patches at the top left. He has a few in the center of the map, and at the bottom center we also have it with a newly established base. This is the one that Revival took out several times before. But really, the Terran kind of changed the tide of the battle. In the beginning he looked really strong, and it looked like he could dominate Revival, but then Revival turned the heat up with the Mutalisks, with all those run-bys, did so much damage, and Polt looked, he was desperate. Polt was just trying to do something, and he tried to go for the drop play. Once again, looking for this. I mean, that's the saying that a good offense is the best defense, and it is definitely true. You could see this in this game. Polt, with the offense that he started, was able to push Revival back, to occupy him at several points at a time, and now Revival is really struggling. The Zerglings and the Banelings are rolling in to stop this double drop, but now we have the units at the top right taking down harvesters. It's just this distraction method that always works so well for Polt. He's going in with a distraction team, and another team does damage. One of those two is always being cleared up, but the rest is doing the damage needed. 58,000 resources lost against 42,000. Polt now in a position where he's getting even more ravens. He's looking at 4, he's getting an additional 2. We have him with a +2 attack upgrade being researched. Widow mines everywhere, but he exposed his base a bit, and he needs to save it. The problem is that it's not only about the Brood Lords. Those Corruptors alone are doing too much damage. So Revival may be able to come back into this game. He's not lacking gas, that's something that he has plenty. He has 2,000, but does he have the minerals to build this army that he needs? Nice burrow here by Revival, but the scan for Polt is there. At least Revival was able to force the scan. Brood Lords, once again, the weapon of choice. But we've seen earlier how Polt dealt with the Brood Lords. He ran circles around them. He ran everywhere with the speed boost medivacs and did damage before Revival would be there with his army. And that's also the theme that we are seeing to the top right now. Widowmines getting shots off against the Corruptors. And Revival realized that he can't do a lot about it, so he's basically just looking at his Broodlords and says, well guys, what I'm gonna do with you? He's flying to the left side, taking hits from the Widowmines that are buried in the center of the map. It just looks like Revival doesn't have an answer here. He's down 60 supply now. The Overseers are moving in and allowing Revival to take down the Widowmines, but he doesn't have a lot of mining left. It's the only base down to the bottom. Polt still has a lot more and also a lot more army supply. It might be the final battle. Can Revival pull this off? He's looking at 7 Broodlords, 19 Corruptors, a great anti-army, don't get me wrong. He's up against 17 Vikings, he is up against Thors and against Seeker missiles. And this is most likely what we are gonna see next. Where are those Ravens? They are moving in for the Seeker missiles, and there they are, already targeted. And that's the GG as the Seeker missiles, they take the anti-air down. Revival loses everything here. It's just too much. What a game between these two guys. 63,000 resources lost for Revival. 46,000 resources lost for Polt. 823 units killed by the Korean Terran player, and Revival, he himself took down 530. Oh my god. That was a pretty cool game. So many back and forth comebacks that we had. Aggression everywhere on the map. Polt sometimes dropping at 3 places at a time. Revival with the Mutalisk harass in the mid game. Really cool match. I really enjoyed this quite a lot. I hope that you enjoyed the game as well. That was a pretty epic TVZ in my opinion. Guys, thank you very much for watching this. If you liked the VOD, if you liked the VOD, if you liked the game, give it a thumbs up on YouTube. Make sure that you subscribe to Khaldor TV. There should be a button to the top right of the screen as we speak. And I hope that I see you next time for the next StarCraft 2 VOD in Heart of the Swarm. See you guys then. Bye bye.